So you want to take your English from pretty good to absolutely great? Well, today we're going to master a skill that really adds some punch and clarity to your speaking, using superlatives. These are the words we use to describe the absolute best, the biggest, and the most amazing things. Let's dive in.
To get our brains warmed up, let's just start with this question. What is the fastest animal in the world? If you're thinking cheetah, you are spot on. And that word right there, fastest, is exactly what we're here to talk about today. It's a perfect example of a superlative.
So what is a superlative officially? Well, it's just an adjective that we use to pick one thing out of a big crowd and say that's number one. It's not just about being fast, it's about being the fastest. It's how we describe the absolute top or bottom of any quality. This slide really nails the difference. See, over on the left, if you're just comparing two things, you'd say Madrid is bigger than Valencia. That's called a comparative. But look to the right. When we compare Madrid to all the other cities in Spain, we need a superlative to show it's at the very top. It's the biggest. That's the real power of these words, singling out the one that stands above the rest.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of how this actually works. We're going to break down the main rules for building superlatives. Think of these as your building blocks for using these words perfectly every single time. Now, before we get into anything else, there is one rule to rule them all. I call it the golden rule. You must always use the word the before a superlative. It's never just fastest animal, it's always the fastest animal. Seriously, this is the #1 mistake people make, so let's just lock this one in our brains right now. Our first main rule is probably the one you know best, and it's the easiest. For short adjectives, the ones with just one syllable, all you have to do is add est to the end. So old becomes the oldest. Fast becomes the fastest, and tall becomes the tallest. See? Super straightforward.
Of course, English grammar always has a couple of little spelling traps, doesn't it? For superlatives, there are two you gotta watch. If a short adjective already ends in an E, like nice, you just add st. Easy. And if it has that special consonant-vowel-consonant pattern at the end, like big, you have to double that last letter before adding est.
Let's just break down that CVC rule one more time with the word big. So step 1, you see the pattern. B is a consonant, I is a vowel, G is a consonant. That's our trigger. Step 2, we double that final G. And boom, step 3, we add our est to get the biggest. The exact same thing happens with hot to make the hottest.
Okay, onto rule number 2. This one's for any adjective that ends with the letter Y. For words like happy, busy, or easy, you just drop that Y and replace it with iest. So, a good day can become the happiest day of your life. Simple as that.
So, what do we do with the longer words? The adjectives with 2 or more syllables. Well, this is actually even easier. For words like expensive or interesting, you don't change the adjective at all. You just put the magic words the most right in front of it. So a car becomes the most expensive, and a movie becomes the most interesting.
And this is a huge one, folks. You absolutely cannot mix these rules. You would never ever say the most big, because big is short. It has to be the biggest. And you'd never say the beautifulest. Beautiful is a long word, so it has to be the most beautiful. Knowing which rule to use is everything.
All right, you knew this was coming, right? Every language has its rebels, and English grammar has a few irregular adjectives. These are the rule breakers. They don't follow any of the patterns we just learned. But the good news is there aren't that many. These are the ones you just have to memorize.
And here they are, the big 3 you'll use constantly. Good becomes the best, bad becomes the worst, and far becomes either the furthest or the farthest. And honestly, you probably already use the best and the worst without even thinking about it. See, you're already a pro at this. Okay, ready for a little pro tip? This is one of those small details that makes a huge difference in how fluent and natural you sound. It's all about knowing when to use the word in versus the word of after your superlative.
As a general rule, it's pretty simple. You use in when you're talking about a place or a specific group. So he's the tallest student in the class. It's the biggest city in the world. That word in kind of draws a boundary around the group you're comparing.
So when on earth do you use of? Well, the main time you'll use of is when you're talking about periods of time. For example, you'd say, that was the best day of my life, or yesterday was the hottest day of the year. Nailing this little detail is going to make you sound so much better.
Phew. Okay, You've learned the rules, you've learned the exceptions, and you even got a pro tip. I think you are more than ready for a quick challenge to put all this knowledge to the test. Let's see how you do.
First one up. The Nile is the blank river in the world. The adjective is long. What do you think the right form is?
The answer is longest. Yup, long is a short, one-syllable word, so we just add est. The Nile is the longest river in the world. You're off to a great start.
All right, next. This is the blank restaurant in town. The adjective here is good. Now remember what we said about those rule breakers. And you got it. The answer is best. Remember, good is one of our irregulars. It doesn't play by the rules. It just becomes the best. This is the best restaurant in town. Okay, last one for the challenge. Physics is the blank subject at school. Our adjective is difficult. Think about the length of that word.
And the final answer is most difficult. Difficult is a long adjective, so we don't change it at all. We just add the most in front. You absolutely crushed that challenge. Fantastic job.
So, we've covered all the rules, from the absolute basics to the little pro tips. The only thing left to do now is for you to start using them. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What is the best movie you have ever seen? Go on, try to answer it out loud. The more you practice, the more natural this is all going to feel. Happy learning.